small sites, these non-important sites of large organizations, these mom and dad shops sites, are used by the bad guys in order to attack the desktops and at times the big guys. How do they do that? So there are 3 examples I'll cover here. One of them is the SQL injection bot, which go after websites, deface them, and inserts malware injecting code into them to go after their clients. The second one would be web bot herding. Botnets are a big thing. They used to be something that was based on desktops. We see more and more websites serving as bots in a botnet. And lastly, we'll talk about the problem with service providers, hosting providers, and such. The SQL injection crawlers. Starting around January, we're starting to see a new, very big phenomena. I guess you'll see it more than once in this conference, of somebody writing bots that attack mostly SQL Server. We think that we are looking for code that attack other databases. We still attack attempts on other web server, but without payload. So we don't know if there is really good code attacking other database servers. This code is pretty malicious. What it does is it's a single SQL injection targeting randomly websites found through Google. What it does is select all the columns in all the tables in the database, iterate over them, and then appends a malware injection script tag to each field. The assumption behind that is that some of those fields, as fields are, will be displayed back to a customer. So a customer will see it and will be infected by malware. This is a malware spreading method. And it's common. The list I've shown you before with a huge number of sites penetrated is based on these attacks and variants of it. It's mostly targeting MS-SQL. If you think about it, it's a very malicious attack because it just tries to, it damages the site beyond repair in many cases just to do something through it. The interesting part is that it's very easy to protect from. You don't really need anything special. Signatures which I wrote for our products 4 or 5 years ago cover that. Some database security would cover that. It's not that hard, and still the number of sites getting hit by it is just huge. What do we see new about this type of attacks? So one thing we see a lot is that it's attacking other types of infrastructure. It's not ASP or ASP.NET anymore. It's any type of scripting language as long as there's MS-SQL behind it. And we saw some in the web, in the Honeypot project, we see some signs of different type of attacks being carried on to other databases. The other interesting thing is that we see more complex code being used. This is a good example. This is a snippet of a new variant of the attack that checks that no new, that the server, the website is not already infected. So not to have double infection. Double infection is bad because the script might not work right, because the chances of the application being destroyed and not serve its purpose for the attacker are bigger. So they are getting smarter. We also see management consoles for the attackers for those things. So a Windows program that does all the work, is sold, like MPEG for malware. So we have now the MPEGs for those type of attacks. Bot herding, the second example I was talking about. We see a lot of attacks like that, where people are trying to upload to websites scripts in the language that the web server knows how to execute, using a large number of vulnerabilities. The interesting thing here, usually very easy to detect by the way, is the payload. And when you look at the payload, you find that it's just a bot script. They're using the web server penetrated as a botnet. If you think about it, it's much more stable than using desktop as a botnet. They're always there. They're easy to command. You don't need difficult channels to get to them. You just issue an HTTP request and you get to them. So we see control methods, attack methods. This specific script is about doing denial of service attacks. On the network layer, interestingly. Lastly, hacking service providers. We see a lot of relatively easy attacks carried towards service providers. Hosting providers are the most attacked ones. The reason is that there is a problem there with separation between different accounts. So if you attack one customer, at times even if you buy an account for yourself, you will be eventually able to attack other bigger customers on the same server or network. A good example is one of our stories this year. It's about Metasploit. The Metasploit website was defaced. Now this is pretty bad. Why is it pretty bad? Because they were just defacing. But think about somebody going and changing the Metasploit download. Metasploit is a software used by pen testers to penetrate sites. Now, assuming that I add to its code something which leaves a backdoor for the bad guys each time a penetration tester gets into a site. That's evil. That's bad. Luckily, hopefully, these guys didn't do that. How did they penetrate the Metasploit website? Actually, they never did it. They never penetrated it. They penetrated another host on the same hosting vendor network and then did ARP spoofing to take on the request and answer it instead of the Metasploit web server. But it served the same purpose. And we have other stories in the web hackings in the database that address the same issue. Hosting services are sort of offer a very, very, very interesting business model. As a summary, I would like to say that when you look for a risk, when you look at how vulnerable is your website and whether you have to fix things, think about the business model of the bad guys. Is there a business model there? Is there a reason to go after you? In the past, it was the value of your website. Today, it might be your website as part of a larger scale business model they are employing to get to others. This is the email. This is the project website. Do I have time for a question or two? 2 questions? Anyone? Okay. Feel free to come to me here or at the bridge booth later on to ask any question you have. Thank you for your participation.